As the Quran says, وَالْكَازِمِينَ الْغَيْزِ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. The good people are those who can suppress and control their anger, can forgive. Indeed, God loves those who can forgive and who are doer of the goodness. The topic which I'm going to do more academically, who are Talibans, what is madrasa system, what all this means. So I will go on the process. But first thing is, I am a Pashto speaking person. Maybe I don't look like Afghani, well-built people, but I am from that generation as Pashtun. You may have seen the mountains of Kandahar. That's what my grandparents came out of that and settled in this side of Pakistan, the other tribal belt. So I'm that Pashtun and spent my time in the village as well as at Peshawar University before I came here in 1976 to America for higher education. So I will take you. Also, I'm a madrasa graduate. So I have studied both in the secular institutions and the madrasa, about which I will be talking to you shortly. So I know it from my own inner experience, what is a madrasa system. And I am proud to call myself as a Talib. The word Talib, Taliban means students of religion or students. Any student could be called as Talib, and you could be all called as Taliban. In other words, those who search to know things. So that's the word meaning. So I will come to this. But I want to pose a question just to prelude sort of it. This discussion which academically we do as a human being by nature, a violent being or a peaceful being. So you can see that and how this question is being taken. Is it a violent being or a peaceful being? And if it is if it is a peaceful being, that what then makes human being as a violent being? Is that faith? Or that is environment in general that makes a human being a violent being. Just to give you a little bit, mostly scholars, especially I talk about Muslim scholars, most of them, they will say that human being has been created at the state of shalom, salam, and peace. And that's why we all greet one another. I said to some person, I was giving a lecture at church and I said, Assalamu alaikum. They shake hands and say, peace be with you. And somebody was looking if I was saying something wrong, which means peace be with you, shalom and salam and peace. The same thing. So that is most scholar will agree that's the nature of human being. So that means then it is environment. Environment could be both faith education or education in general, and as well as environment in which you are living. It could be economic, it could be social, it could be political. So that all environment plus education can make human being. And one of the things which I make argument is say how human being by nature could be a peaceful being. See, from the Abrahamic perspective, especially Islam emphasized that more. The devil or the Satan, the fallen angel in the Bible, and the shaitan in the Quran, the Satan, the devil, is an outside phenomena. It's not internal phenomena. As you see the concept of fallen angel. So human being is there, and then the devil or the Satan or shaitan or the fallen angel, one way or another, what do we want to call it, approaches the human being. So then human being is tempted. So that you can go deeper into it, how environment and all what is there in the environment, plus education and belief system, can make human being one way or another way. Now, after saying that what is, that environment, I would like to come back to my major topic. What is that environment in that part of the world, and what is the madrasa system, and what the teaching of the madrasa system is about. But before, I want to give you the three approaches, especially in the Muslim education system today, which is there. And if you look into it, there are three approaches, major approaches to education. One is traditional approach to education. The traditional approach to education is mostly considered as the madrasa system. That's called madrasa system in all of the South Asia, including Afghanistan, And also, the second could be secular modern education. So the madrasa system is pretty old from generation to generation. The secular education system in South Asia is introduced with occupation, colonization from the British. So that is the secular education system which got introduced and things like that. Then there is a third education system which you may see around quite a bit in Muslim world, but in South Asia also. That is South Asia, I mean Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and other countries, including Sri Lanka, but especially in a Muslim context I'm speaking. The third is very recent phenomena, which could be considered, we call it Islamic education system. This is the new word which is there. So not calling it madrasa system. Islamic education system, Islamic college, Islamic university. So what is the difference? So that is the difference. You can see the Islamic University of Islamabad, other places we have, I was personally head of the Islamic Center at Peshawar University. So you can see those words, new words are kind then. Islamic college, Islamic university, meaning that both, the secular aspect and the traditional aspect, how that could be combined to make it suitable for, to deal with modernity. So that's the third option, which is in Pakistan, it was introduced in 1982 after the Conference on Islamization. If you look into the history, then Islamic University, Islamabad, finally came out of that. So these are the three educational type of educational systems. Certainly there could be more also, but three major areas are there. Now, what is this madrasa system? When it comes into being, certainly its history is very old, but I want to give you some history of it in the the South Asian context that we are more concerned today. I'm not going to the old history of what madrasa system was and how it came into being. Now, India is, South Asia is occupied, especially we call it Pak India subcontinent, there's Indo-Pak subcontinent, Pakistan, Indian, that continent. You see how it is occupied by the Britisher, and you see we call it the freedom war, which the Indian fought, both Hindus and Muslims, against the Britisher. That war of freedom, which is in English history is mutiny, 1857. And Hindus and Muslims together worked together to liberate India, but did not happen. After that defeat, some Muslim scholars got together. And I want to give you the name if you want to remember. Maulana Muhammad Qasim Nanutwi was the one who headed that idea that unless we teach properly to the Muslims of Indian subcontinent and bring them this awareness, they could not be free. So finally, there was a seminary which came into being soon after that freedom war, which I call it, not mutiny. And that is called the Deoband Seminary. And still it is there in India. The Deoband Seminary came into being soon after 1857. And you can study it, Google it, it is there still. And you can see the curriculum and everything. So it is still in India and it is there. The main objective was of the seminary to teach traditional Islamic knowledge to the people. But however, along with that was also to prepare a generation of people to be able to free India from the colonial power. So you can see that underground reference to that there is a political thinking behind it also, though it is educational system and teaching mostly dedicated to Quran and the saying of the prophets and other. Also, they had some medicine there too, and other subjects too, in the traditional sense, not in the modern sense. But mostly it was dedicated teaching of Islamic studies. Now, this Deoband seminary got a great reputation, amazingly. Students came from all over the South Asia, but not only South Asia, from other countries, also Central Asia, other places people came to register and became a huge seminary. up to 1947, it has gotten a great reputation. Even before 1947, the partition, the partition of the subcontinent, which came, there were branches of this seminary established, and the part which we call it Pakistan, in the part which we call it Bangladesh, in the part which we call it Afghanistan, some sub-seminaries were already established, teaching that traditional knowledge and the way they do. Now, one of the things is that this seminary and also these branches of this seminary, these teachers' salaries were very minimum. Very minimum. Education was all free. Who were there? Who went there? Mostly people who could not afford the secular education. I was supposed to go there too. Coming from a very poor family, I was supposed to be there. Thanks to the government of Pakistan, I scored very well, and I got a letter, well, your education is free if you go to college. So that's what, partially I went to college also along with that, to get a secular free education. Otherwise, my parents did not have a blouse, enough to wear. Such a family, you can see how the tribal built is still poor. Also, I want to give you an idea. I'm writing on this also, that the traditional madrasa system is very much similar to the seminary system in America and elsewhere. And I'm doing that work also, like you have in the seminary system, different, institutions. Some are very often, some are inclusive, some are very exclusive. I don't want to name it, but I think this is a proper name. You can see this world religions. This is a very new phenomenon, teaching of world religions, and in the seminaries and some of the divinity school just introduced it in the 90s. I'm part of that, teaching it in those seminaries, some of the seminary, and some are here also. So it's a very new phenomena, how some changes have come in some seminaries. You may see the same way, there is those changes a little bit, but most of those madaris are very, very traditional and with conservative approach, which is there, to such a conservative approach that you may be standing still in the subcontinent, they sit on the floor to teach. They don't use much chairs and all of those things, sit on the floor. TV and most of the seminary is prohibited, so you can see in that way full concentration and raising, teaching it in a very traditional way. So just to give you an idea, this is not only Deoband Seminary in Pakistan, in Afghanistan and India or Bangladesh and the South Asia alone. So I just want to give you, there are different type of seminaries today. Some of these types are, I want to give you, so one is that type of seminaries which came out of Deoband. That is a Hanafi school-based seminary, teaching the Hanafi school. Certainly it teaches some Sunni schools also, but preference is always given to the Hanafi school of thought. The Deoband seminary is further divided into at least 2 or 3 branches. You can see it in that way. So it's not that alone. You can see the different, new institutions, the way it has come. Another one is this Deoband seminary is a Sunni seminary, so you can see there are branches of that also. The Barelvi branch is there too. The Ahlul Hadith branch is there too. So different branches have come after that. There are different madrasas and those branches established. There is also another big segment is also the Shia seminaries. So the Deoband seminary, the Sunni seminaries are further divided into that, at least 3-4 branches, you can see it. And the Shia seminaries are also there. They are also divided. So there are at least 5-6 types of seminaries belonging to different schools of thought within the Sunni school of thought and the Shia school of thought are operating in the whole subcontinent, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, at least to my knowledge in that area. So you can keep it in that way. And all the seminaries' approach is certainly from their own school of thought, but to a great extent is pretty traditional and conservative. After giving you this idea that one other thing I want to say about this Deoband Seminary. The Deoband Seminary, in a very initial stage, since it has a political, that to bring awareness, it created a branch of scholars which created a political group, which is still known as Jamiyatul Ulama Hind. In other words, the religious scholars of Indian subcontinent. Now, look at this. This Jamiyatul Ulama Hind was very close to the Congress National Party. Between Congress and these religious scholars coming out of Deoband, there was a greater cooperation and united India. If you see that, this is very amazing. And the leadership who created this political segment never carried any arm. They would carry a stick, which we call it a staff of Moses, like that, would carry that and never carry any arm, but politically very, very active they were and working along with Congress. Second thing is, between Gandhi and this seminary, there was a lot and great cooperation. If you see Abul Kalam Azad, person from this seminary, and Mahatma Gandhi standing together. India wins freedom, you can see in that also, by Abul Kalam Azad. So Gandhi was very close to this seminary, and to those who were teachers in the seminary and those who were graduate from this seminary who created this political association. Also, on the other hand, you may know about Abdul Ghaffar Khan movement from the NWFP, Northwest Frontier Province, from the Pashtun area, which was again very non-violent and peaceful movement. Gandhi and Abdul Ghaffar Khan were like brothers. So you can see that scenario. I'm just giving you what madrasa system was and how the National Congress of India and the graduates of madrasa system, the scholars, worked together for peaceful India. Up to 1947, they were together. Just an idea that the politics was there, but it was non-violent politics and for peaceful means. Now, what is this word Taliban? And just to give you a few words also, in India, there are these words used. Mullah, the Indian subcontinent. You know what is word mullah? This is a derogatory terminology. So actually, it was used by the Britisher. For the religious leaders. So it's still, in Afghanistan especially, you see Mullah Omar, you know his name. So many of them are known as Mullah, meaning a person who is a graduate of religious seminary. But the real word is Maulana, which is used. Some people don't like Maulana because from theological perspective, Maulana means master, which could be only used for God. So that difference is there, but in Indian subcontinent is a very strange continent. So most of the scholars are known as Maulana, and they are proud to be called Maulana without objecting whether this is the right word to be used or not. And also the word Sheikh, you may have heard about that, right? The word Sheikh is not used in the subcontinent. It's used mostly in the Middle East for Islamic scholar. Similarly, the word Ayatollah, sign of God, is mostly used for the top level of religious leadership in Iran in the Shia scholarship. So these are the words which are used. The word Talib and Taliban and Tullab, this is an Arabic word for students of any student it could be, but mostly the madrasa students are known as Talib. So Taliban is actually a Pashto Urdu terminology. It's not Arabic terminology. The Arabic word is Tullab, in other words, for students. But this is the word which is used. When this word is used in politics, how it came into politics, if you look carefully to the history of the Indian subcontinent, there is no such word in politics as Taliban. The only word was Jamiyat Ulama-e-Hind, which worked with Indian National Congress for the freedom of India. So the word Taliban, for the first time, comes into politics in the city of Quetta, Balochistan, where a meeting was held in 1991 or 1992. I'm a little confused when that real meeting was held. I was in America at that time, so I was not in Peshawar University. I was already here, so I don't remember exactly when this meeting was. But in the meeting, the Interior Minister of Pakistan, the representative from US, Saudi representative, these three together with some religious leaders sit together in the city of Quetta. After a meeting, the word Taliban came into being in the press. When it came into being, it got such a push. You can see that in a few months, almost not only for a year, that Taliban were able to complete most of the area. Let me give the key points so we can have more ideas about what we are talking. So I took how they came into government and took over Afghanistan, and just, without much resistance, you can see how they took over Afghanistan. But look, what Taliban gave. So these are key points you need to remember to Afghanistan. The Taliban approach is traditional approach, keeping in view the ethos of tribal nature. When I go to my tribe, I wear turban or something on my head and dress like a tribe person, because otherwise I may not be honored in my own clan or my own tribe. So they keep the ethos of the tribal, what that is. So very much appealing to that ethos, because they look like them, they behave like them, and they do that. You can see in that way how they got the favor and how they got the support from the tribal belt from both sides, and especially from the Pashtuns, both sides, Afghanistan and Pakistan. Second thing which Taliban gave to Afghanistan was security. And I wrote a recent article, until and unless we give security and bread and shelter to Afghanistan, there will be no peace. This war will continue. So they give security. The Taliban themselves slept on the floor. So there was no corruption then. A woman can walk from Kabul to Kandahar to Peshawar without any trouble, without being raped, being a fear of rape or any trouble, and you see this news a lot. So it gave those things, and Taliban themselves slept on the floor. So they were poor, and the masses were poor, and that's where you can see. So that is a few things that you need to remember, that how those things happen. And then the embargo comes on Taliban, and how bin Laden is being able, then finally, you know what he did? He married the daughter of Mullah Omar. In our tribal custom, if somebody enters your home and especially built a relationship with you, you are to be, there is an honor code which we call Pashtunkhwa honor code, that you have to support and protect that person. So you can see that marriage which took place also, and how finally he was able to influence now, I want to give you a little bit in the next 1 minute, just the Pakistani Taliban and the Afghani Taliban. What is the difference now between them and how they are? The Pakistani Taliban, I want to give you a few things. It is only the strength of the Pakistani Taliban is coming from the tribal belt. It's not from the entire Pakistan. Only from the tribal belt, including a portion of Swat, which is again, Swat was tribal before, then it became, after creation of Pakistan, it came into settled area. Now, remember this, the present Taliban movement in Pakistan does not come from the madrasa system. The leadership and the Pakistani Taliban are not from the madrasa system. And the madrasa system has issued a fatwa that suicide bombing is totally wrong. So you can see now the dissociation of what is happening. So from where the Pakistani Taliban is getting strength? One, globalization. You see, my mother, I brought her from the village of mine to Peshawar, and she said, I cannot stay in this area because this is totally strange to me. I want to go back to my home. Living within that environment. Globalization comes all of a sudden, and you can see how the modern technology has. So globalization is one of the issues you can see. Second issue, which is giving the strength, because the tribes feel that their culture is in danger. That basic ethos is in danger. So second thing is corruption in Pakistan, which was underlined. Corruption, political instability, which is there. American drone attacks are giving them a lot of strength, because you see the drone attacks happen right close to our village. Miran Shah, Bannu, and that area. It's 20 miles. Our village is 20 miles from there. So my brothers are still living. So you can see right there in that area, the drone attacks giving them a lot of strength in that way. Also, there is, in the Pakistani Taliban, there is foreign influence, a lot of money. I was in the on madrasa project, and what we found, and when I was a madrasa project, that it is actually not the madaris which is doing. There is a lot of money coming from some sources, from some foreign sources, given to different people. We were amazed. We have never seen in my life the Islamic scholars or the students. These people have long beards. Nobody knows from where they come. Long beard with long hairs. I'm sorry to give this identification, but you see them at night, you don't see them at daytime at all. Who are these people, from where they're coming? But very strange people, not from the religious seminary, and they do most activities hidingly. The Afghani Taliban have I'm finishing it in a minute, have disassociated themselves from the Pakistani Taliban. And you may have seen Mullah Umar's statement again and again, we are not. Because what is happening in Pakistan, this is not what the Afghani Taliban could support that. Now, Afghani Taliban still, as you see, before also had a madrasa support. From the tribal belt from both sides, had a madrasa support. The madrasas withdrew their support because two things. One, on women issue, and second thing was about the Buddha statue, which, some of the madaris withdrew their support from the Taliban, but there are some madaris still supported that. After the Talibans, the Talibans actually control the opium trafficking also. They made Afghanistan free of opium. That was a great achievement also. What is now, from where they are getting their strength? One is the tribes were never occupied by foreign forces. The tribes are disunited, but they are united when somebody outsider attacks them. So colonization again. They see the American forces, and I wrote an article on that also, and British forces is reoccupying Afghanistan. And therefore they get a lot of strength from people to see these foreign forces. So that's one thing, what is giving them strength. Second thing is corruption has come back to Afghanistan. The warlords have come back, which disappeared during their rule. Now again, that corruption, and you can see how girls are taken away from their home and kidnapped and raped, and all these things are happening. People still, again, they're thinking, well, they were better than these people who are right now here. That's another thing which you can see, the instability is there. Security system is very poor, as was underlined before that. And also globalization is another issue. As you see, most of the tribal people are not educated. And seeing all what is happening, they see their culture in danger. So these are some of the things which you can look into it. What is keeping the Afghani Taliban still stronger in Afghanistan? And you can see that, according to some estimates, a great portion of Afghanistan is in the hands of Taliban. The government and the foreign forces are just limited to Kabul. And how in the rest of the area, Taliban can walk free and do things. Thank you very much.